Hi guys, and thank you for tuning in to Cruising with the Coach. I have just left one of my clients and I am on my way back home. So I thought that I'd say a few things and then hop off very fast. When you can encounter someone that has or is dealing with something that you once dealt with, but you actually triumphed over it and you're able to share how you defeated whatever it was that grabbed you at that time, and see that it actually is a way to help someone else that's dealing with the same thing or similar. That's a very good feeling. Very, very good feeling. I see a glare in my glasses, you guys. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't see. I don't have on my contacts, so I have to wear my glasses. Trust me, they are not cosmetic. They are definitely prescribed. So, I can't really stress enough the idea of waking up each day and making a decision to not worry about yesterday. I think if I had a choice out of worrying about yesterday or worrying about tomorrow, I think I'd be more prone to worrying about tomorrow, because it would be my understanding that I have all of today to work towards a remedy or regimen or a result that could possibly catapult or change whatever could possibly take place on my tomorrow. One thing we need to understand is that every day is different from the day before. There will be days that we wake up without the same people in our lives that we woke up to on yesterday. And that's not always due to death or any type of, disappearance or anything like that. It's just that sometimes the removal of certain individuals, depending on how you look at the situation, could possibly mean that it is now time to take focus away from them and give it back to yourself or what it is that you're doing. A lot of people don't deserve our presence, our acquaintance, our friendships, our relationships. They just simply don't deserve it. And if you're faced with a situation like that, respect how important you are. The reason why I say this is because when you respect how important you are, you don't really let people come into your life and destroy your pride, your internal feelings about yourself. And I say pride in a good way, not meaning, boastful or bragful, but that confidence that you have. Let me just say confidence so people would understand. What you take into consideration for yourself. You don't let people destroy that or tear it down. The fact that people reject you during a time that you're actually trying to insert yourself in their lives for whatever reason possible, sometimes that's, from up above. I try to, and sometimes I am unsuccessful at this, but I try to not be as biblical let me say, because some of my clients are not, they're atheists, but I don't turn them down because I am not an atheist. It's business, so I don't infringe my beliefs on individuals. But let me just say, my sole reference, sometimes besides experience that I have went through myself, comes from the Bible. And there were, several situations that took place in the Bible where people were rejected. And the reason that I use the Bible so strongly is because it's the only one thing, again, besides my natural experiences that I've been through in life, that I have, that I can say is my truth of reference. That thing that holds facts to me. And because that's my feeling about the Bible, I don't force that on anyone, but I try to reference many things to people so that they understand. So if you hear me say something and it offends you, trust me, I am not trying to offend you by any means necessary. I am simply using as a reference what I know and what I believe to be true and factual, and that holds validity. So I am not by any way trying to enforce Christianity or holiness on you. It's a good thing, but I am not trying to do that when I say certain things. So I just wanted to, make that clear to everyone. But again, rejection is sometimes something that God does to separate us from what He knows is not good for our growth. If I could just simplify what I'm about to say, because time is of essence. So you can't always look at the fact that someone walking out of your life as being a bad thing. You have to understand where you are in life, some of the things that you're desiring in your heart to have could very well be time for that to manifest itself or be birthed into the earth realm. And so you have to know that some of the people that started with you are not going to finish with you. And everywhere you go in life, maybe they're not ready to go. Maybe they're not supposed to go. So you have to look at rejection and people walking out on you in a different light, if that helps at all. I've been faced with that. I'm sure you've been faced with that at some point. And I look back at those times, and I thought about how I heard it, and or I allowed myself to be hurt over the choice that someone made to exit out of my life, knowing who I was and what I was capable of, and what I produced, and this different things of that sort. I felt like I was the blessing. Why would you leave the blessing? And when I look at my life now, I understand that would have been a total distraction, just a big stumbling block, or dead weight, and I wouldn't be where I am today had God not allowed these individuals to be removed from my life. Another thing is that when you give people so much power and so much control that they could make a decision for themselves and cause you to want to end your life, A, or B, let your day just be so bad that you can't even focus on what it is that you're trying to focus on, well then, who is it that you're living for? Are you living for yourself, or are you living for them? Everyone is accounted to be their own individual person, which is why for parents, we teach our kids to be what? Responsible individuals. So that someday they leave the nest and know how to take care of who? Themselves first. And so on. You've got to realize that when you give people that type of control, well then you can't expect anything that you want at that point for yourself to take place, because you're now controlled by someone else. And it depends on how they feel. That you feel how you feel. May not be how you would like to feel, but you know, it's just like me saying, okay, I can hang out with you, but the minute that you disagree with me, I'm out of there. Well, I may like you a lot, a whole lot, and there may be a benefit for me to be around you, but because I feel that that may be the case in our relationship or our acquaintance, doesn't mean that I'm going to feel for you or I'm going to feel like you. I'm not going to do that. That to me utterly doesn't make sense. You got to be able to be your own person and make your own decisions. Be careful with what you allow people to continuously feed you with. This is why I don't do gossip. I don't gossip at all, because I feel like if it ain't about me, I don't need to hear it. And I'm such a direct person. You know, if that person isn't around, then hey, let's call them up. I've always been the type of person to say what I want to say and say it twice if I had to. And there's just been people that I have been around, and I've taken notice that that's not the case with them. You know, and I am careful with that, because I had been victim to listening to someone else gossip about someone else, and then when it got back to that person, by the time it got back to that person came to me as if I had said what was said about them. And so, you know, I just can't do gossip, but I just don't allow people to poison my mind with their rhetoric of how they feel about people and situations and what they're doing. I just don't do that. I have a right to my own opinion. I've voiced it every chance that I could get, but I do have the understanding that sometimes, in some places, in most cases, my opinion don't even matter. So I don't even open my mouth, because at the end of the day, it's like, why even bother? People do what they want to do. They say what they want to say. And again, I think I will go to heaven saying that people are gonna like you, regardless if they hate something about you. People are gonna hate you regardless if they like something about you. So it's like you have to live life for yourself. And know how to control your thoughts and your feelings, and be able to control your emotions, because emotions are the number one reason that depression exists. And because a lot of people, you know, I'm not going to say just in my culture, there's a lot of people who don't believe in life coaches. They don't believe in mentors. They don't believe in big brothers, big sisters. They don't believe in counselors. They don't believe in people that have been there, done that, so to speak. They can say, hey, I've been there, but here's what worked for me. You can try this and see if it works for you. But if it doesn't, try to come up with a way that works for you. That you can kind of, you know, climb over this mountain. So, you know, be careful with what you allow people to poison your minds with. One thing that I hate is to see, and I don't like labeling people good or bad, because there's a lot of bad and a lot of good people, and there's a lot of a lot of good and a lot of bad people. So I don't like labeling people good or bad, because no man is really good. There are some people that make better decisions than others. But I will say that most people who are wholesome, upright in their thinking and in their actions, get treated the worst. And I've always been a defensive person, which is why I believe God chose me with the profession that he perfected within me. To have a heart and compassion for those people, and to kind of like say, okay, now this is where this went wrong, and because we can't change anyone else's mind, here's what we're going to do with our own minds. We're going to look at what they do from a different perspective, and in that way, that can cause us to not be so harsh on that person or on ourselves, because this person has chose to be evil or ugly towards us. A lot of people that have committed suicide due to the lack of love and attention, and due to people walking out on them. I wish I could have gotten a chance to say something to them. Like, it's okay for these people or these things to exit your life. You're still who you are regardless. You are who you are regardless. Whether someone deems you to be ugly or deems you to be beautiful, you are who you are. That doesn't change. Opinions change. But there are certain things about you that does not change, and people fight and will fight you because those things don't change. Because they don't change. We've got to understand how to be unbreakable in certain areas. Know that people that hurt you are dealing with something themselves, because it's not normal for someone to just deliberately hurt somebody. And that's not normal. You got some stuff going on up there that really needs to be medicated or checked, because there's some people out here without certifications that will check that for you. And so you don't want that to happen. And if you truly don't want that to happen, well, then you straighten that up and watch what it is that you say to people. Watch how you treat people. Watch who you walk away from, because sometimes we never know who we're walking away from. I believe some of the people that walked out of my life look back now and it's like, I should have held on. I should have held on. And then you have some, it just wasn't a time, a season, or a reason for us to be together. So God said, no, let me break that on up, because that's not what I ordained. So, it just depends. But ultimately speaking, I have been touched today by this person. And I pray that they in their heart open up and receive what God is saying to them about themselves, and that they be able to hear that voice a lot more clearer than they're able to hear the other voices, the voices that really don't even matter. Really don't even matter. I've said before, I've had people say some strange things to me, to the point where I lived my life every day waking up to see what it was that I could do to please people. I'm so far behind on where I should be right now because of that, that it's just burdensome sometimes when I realize I could have been here and I could have had this, but because I took time out to say, okay, let me consider what he or she is saying, and let me see what I could do to make them feel better towards me. And I realize now that what they said or what they done to me didn't take no air out of my body, did not shorten my days here on earth. I am happy, healthy, and whole, confident, complete. Not really complete, because you're never complete until the end. You understand what I'm saying? The end. So I wouldn't say complete, but very confident, secure now in areas that I wasn't always secure in. I remember that I was told I was ugly by so many people, so many different people, that's what I believed. And the funny parts about that is my mom would tell me stories about how ugly I was as a child growing up, that she tried to pass me to my aunt in the grocery store one day so that she could pay for whatever it is that they were purchasing. And my aunt said, I don't want anybody to think that that's my child. And I thought, was I that horrible looking? I remember growing up as a little girl, I was a tomboy. So I had a little afro jerry curl. Yeah, I remember what a jerry curl was. So I had a little afro jerry curl. I would come out with, my little Daisy Dukes on. And I was always muscular and had cuts. As a young girl coming up, just natural cuts, just was my body form. And the little boys used to chuck rocks at me. And I used to just, be minding my business, going to bayou and catch crawfish and stuff by myself, and try to catch bullfrogs and stuff. And they would call me ugly. And then we would play this game. Now, you're not in your 40s if you don't remember this game. It was called Hide and Go Get. Now, this channel is not for the kids. And I would always opt in to play this game with everyone else, with all the boys and girls on the street or whatever. But I realized that when I would hide, nobody would come to find me. So one day I stayed hiding. I stayed there. And then my cousin realized that I was missing, and he was like, I gotta go find my cousin. So he came to look for me. And when he had come to look for me, he was like, girl, we been quit playing this game. And I thought so. And I was like, nobody looked for me. And he said, you mad. You mad. And I was mad. I was furious because I wanted to be gotten. I wanted to be found. But it's funny now that I am in my 40s and I see these same kids that are now in their 40s and, late 30s. And they see me now and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? You look totally, do I? No, I'm the same person. I'm the same person. I just learned about makeup. That was a joke, totally a joke. But I wanted to be accepted, and I wanted to be called pretty, and I wanted to be found by the little boys. And so, because I heard this so much, I would say, things like, I know I'm ugly, and I would act ugly. Oh, I started to fight. Anything pretty, I wanted to fight it. Because inside, that was my way of combating my feelings towards, being called ugly, but not feeling the same on the inside directly. I only felt that way because people said it. And they said it so much, I felt like that was the truth about me or whatever. But, I remember in my youth, I asked God to make me pretty. And you guys, when I tell you the first compliment that I got on being pretty, I ran to the mirror. And I was like, what is it that they see? I still saw the same person that everybody else saw way back in my days that said was ugly. So I was trying to see, where was this pretty at? And then I realized that pretty and ugly is within. It's not on the outer extremities. Because There are some things that makeup can't cover, y'all, and I'm just being direct, you know? Sorry, just being honest. There's some things that makeup won't cover. So it's not about makeup and cover. It's about your internal being, and whatever is on the inside flows on the outside. It's called your countenance. So now I don't hear that anymore. I don't hear that anymore. Not to say that I'm just this swan or dove, or I'm just this beautiful individual. You won't hear me say that. I don't pull the brag bag like that. Don't push me. But I don't pull the brag bag like that. But, you know, I would never accept someone saying that I'm ugly now, because I know how beautiful I am inside. Outward is to your discretion. They say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. If you feel like what you see is beautiful, then okay. But what I know of that's on the inside is beautiful, and I can stand for that. I can vouch for that. So, you guys, if you're dealing with anything or anyone who's saying something different from what you feel about yourself, always understand that we are all spirits. We rent this body for a time, and we don't have no control over its genetic makeup. And, you know, we have to understand and realize and also respect who we are. And when you grow to love that person that you know on the inside, that lives on the inside, that resonates in your being, then things that you hear on the outside will just roll off of your back. It will go through one ear and come out the next. You will no longer believe some of the things. You'd be confused by it, because you'd be like, are you sure? Because that's not what I get. And you don't live inside of me. You don't know anything about me. But everyone has a right to an opinion, and I respect your opinion. And if that's what you feel about me, then okay. But that doesn't change how I feel about you. Period. And that's just it. So, again, I just wanted to kind of like drop that on you guys, because I have been touched. I have been touched, and I remember being in that place, and it was a heavy, dark, lonely place. Even though I was always occupied with my children, there was some dark days within those moments. And you know what's funny? Because of who I always was on the inside, you know, that God man, that spirit man that was always on the inside of me, that I suppressed with the guilt of feeling like I was who someone else said that I was. You know, I became miserable in my own efforts to pull myself up and be who God said I was, or who I thought that I was, or who I thought that I should be. And so I never would like for anyone to feel that way about themselves. It's just not legal. And for us as a human being, you are who you are, regardless to what someone says about you. If they feel like they've come up with enough evidence to leave you, let them leave. There's a benefit in the leaving, because you then have the time to focus on yourself. You got to be careful with what you give life to. And for those of you who understand, or for those of you who say you feel me, you know, you give life to the wrong thing, then it's you that have to kill it. And everybody's not a murderer. So you deal with things that you brought on yourself. And we blame God and we blame man, and that's how we spend our days. But I implore you guys, before I sign off, to change your perception about the way that people see you. See you as who you are and who you believe yourself to be, how God sees you. And know that you are someone special. You are beautiful no matter what. And that No one can control you but God. I'm signing off. Thank you for cruising with the coach. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to this video. Share with anyone that you know will benefit from this video. Have a good day.